Hello and welcome to Barely Tactical. I'm Sean, and today we have our second Lord Focus video. We will be taking a look at Drycha, having an early look at her actually, thanks to Creative Assembly chucking a key in my direction. And again, the normal disclaimer, I'm not an expert at Warhammer, I'm not an expert at Total War, so if I do get something wrong or you think there is something that should be added or I should be made aware of, please do let me know in the comments and I will be happy to try and address it. I think that's pretty much it. Let's just get straight into Drycha. Drycha, the Briar Maven of Woe. Drycha is an incredibly old branch wraith who is said to remember the time before the Wood Elves arrived in Athelloren. Many believe that she lost her mind when Morgur's foul blood was spilt on the ground of the Glade of Woe, the area of the forest to which she was bound. Many also speculate that it is this madness that has caused her a deep distrust and hatred of the Wood Elves. She once attempted to take over Athelloren during one of Orion's absences, but was banished by the Grail Knight, Callard of Garamond. So Drycha gives us a minus 10% upkeep for Dryad, Treekin, and Treeman units in all armies, an upkeep of plus 10% for all Wood Elf units in all armies. She starts with 1 Amber. All Elf units are glamoured, reducing their combat ability and making them expendable. A public order of minus 5 for local enemy provinces. A weapon strength of plus 10% for Dryads in the Lord's army. And a melee attack of plus 5 for Dryads in the Lord's army. One of the elder ancient tree men still living alongside Durthu and Adanhu, Coadil has a deep-set hatred for the Wood Elves, which is speculated to have spread to his student Drycha. It was Coadil who was entirely against allowing the Wood Elves into the magical forests the treemen had guarded for so long. Despite this, they were allowed to remain, and since have been responsible for all the failings to occur the forest in Coadil's mind. It is said that Coadil's hatred for the elves may have been deepened by the spilling of Morgur's tainted blood on the soil. You can recruit Drycha's mentor and fellow elf hater Coadil to your forces. You will be given a quest line to follow, and once completed, you'll be able to bring him in as a legendary hero. He's quite powerful, boasting armor piercing, armor sundering, magical attacks, and a bonus versus large units. He also has some decent spells for debuffing enemies and dealing damage with Doombolt. And then there's also the fact that he can summon a Manticore. So, Drycha's campaign. Well, she's only available in Mortal Empires, so that's something to keep in mind. Now, Drycha starts in the Griffinwood, and she's surrounded by the Skaven, Empire, Vampire Counts, Dwarves, and Kislev. So you're not going to have any shortage of potential enemies in the early game. You start at war with Clan Creepus, which is Skaven, and Ostermark, which is the Empire. The remaining territory that you're going to want to claim to start restoring forest health is held by Talabekland of the Empire. I've probably butchered that, and I really apologise. So Drycha plays very similar to the other Wood Elf Lords. The main difference is that you're slightly restricted in building choices. You lose a couple of buildings, but they only give you elf units, so it's probably not much to worry about. Now, a mechanic that is completely unique to Drycha: wild spirits and beasts. Drycha's malevolent spirit attracts a manner of creatures to her side. This system allows you to instantly recruit them into your armies. This is unique to her, like I said, not even Durthu can make use of it, so it's something that makes her stand out a little bit. You can gain units such as Dryads, Giant Wolves, Giant Spiders, Cave Bats, Great Hawks, and Feral Manticores. And this can be a really handy way to boost up your numbers quite quickly if you're in a bit of a tight spot. So economy with Drycha. It's pretty much standard alongside the other Wood Elves. It's very slow. There is potential for it to get a lot of gold late game, but given the fact that the Wood Elves grow so slowly in their settlements, and you're quite limited on how many gold producing buildings you have, yeah, it's not going to be easy to field large armies or multiple armies early game. You're going to be more focused on securing the magical forests and making sure you're getting their health up to get the buff from the magical forests, which again is pretty much standard for every single Wood Elf race. There's nothing different there. So, army and tactics. Pretty much like Durthu, most of your army, if not all of it, is going to be tree units. You might have some Zotes in there and maybe some forest dragons. But there is a big difference. Drycha's units not only look different, but they act differently. Her Dryads have Frenzy. In fact, I'm pretty sure most of the tree units that she has Frenzy. Being able to upgrade the tree units in a similar system to the orcs, where they have their scrap, is something that's really useful as well. You can really buff the survivability up of your front line, or you can give additional armor piercing damage to some of the bigger units, which is going to make them hit a lot harder. Now, the tactics themselves, I mean, it's trees. Lots of trees. Basically, just think of every enemy as Isengard and your Treebeard, except this time, you're going to squash the hobbits as well. Large units will help break through enemy lines, making it easier for smaller units to swamp in and clean it up. Zotes can be useful, as they can pack a punch, but they also have some good supporting magic, so they can really help buff everyone up. Being able to instantly recruit some of the units, like the Manticore, will give you a bit of an extra damage boost at a short notice as well. You'll probably have pretty much no ranged unless you do run some of the armor-piercing elves that you can get. It's not too much of a cost to have them in the army, so I suppose it's okay, but the real cheese factor, people probably won't like them. But I found forest dragons personally to be incredibly useful as a ranged unit using their fire breath, just for disrupting enemy ranged units as well. I know it's not really economical because you only have a couple of fire breaths, per battle, but I did find it helped control things a lot more. Plus, with how mobile they are, they really helped with crowd control. So that's pretty much all I can say for the tactics and for the army of Drycha. She is very similar to Durthu, but there are some nice differences. So it does feel like a different playthrough, not just a reskin Durthu. And so that covers Drycha. She's a good, fun unit, and I'm glad to see that she's got some differences to Durthu. I was slightly concerned that it would just feel like a reskin campaign, but it doesn't, which is really damn nice. I can't really say too much more on it. It's a murderous tree who likes squashing elves. I mean, I'm not going to complain at that. I don't like elves. Elves bore me. I probably bore you, but hey, what are you going to do? A big thank you to everyone who's watching. I really, really appreciate it. If you're enjoying it, feel free to leave a comment or a like or subscribe or whatever. I will be doing lots of Let's Plays of this DLC for some time to come, I would think, over on my Twitch channel. So feel free to go and drop in over there if you want to see some of the stuff that's going on. I will be trying to do a Sisters of Twilight Lord focused as well over the next day or so, hopefully. And that's all I can really say. Thank you to Creative Assembly again for giving me the key. I really, really appreciate it. I'm now going to bugger off, and I'm probably going to go and do more recording for the sisters. Goodbye, you glorious gits.